The Prime Minister of Australia stands up in support of Israel and against the BDS, the boycott, divestment, and sanctions against Israel. Take a look. Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull of Australia stand up publicly before the whole world and saying that we stand with Israel. We are an all-weathered friend. No matter what, we're going to stand with Israel. They said they always have. They've been quiet in the last 8 years. But hey, they're publicly standing up for Israel. These are exciting days. As a matter of fact, let's go listen to him now. This is Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, the Prime Minister of Australia.
Australia's Prime Minister is taking a stand for Israel. Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today. Turnbull reiterated his support for a two-state solution, calling on Israelis and Palestinians to pursue peace. But he also criticized recent efforts by the United Nations to undermine Israel.
My government will not support one-sided resolutions criticizing Israel of the kind recently adopted by the Security Council. We deplore the boycott campaigns which are designed to delegitimize the Jewish state.
Turnbull said Australia is a committed and consistent all-weather friend.
That's so exciting. We're starting to see nations stand up for Israel. You wouldn't even imagine this during the Obama administration, but now we're seeing people stand up as our president stood up for Israel. And he's saying this stuff the United Nations is bringing against Israel, that's got to end. Do you remember Nikki Haley, the UN ambassador for America, what she said to them? As a matter of fact, let's go back and look. This is Nikki Haley, the ambassador for the U.S. to the United Nations, and how she put their foot down too and said, we're going to end this coming against Israel. Take a look.
So the first thing I want to do is talk about what we just saw in there. The Security Council just finished its regular monthly meeting on Middle East issues. It's the first meeting like that I've attended, and I have to say it was a bit strange. The Security Council is supposed to discuss how to maintain international peace and security. But at our meeting on the Middle East, the discussion was not about Hezbollah's illegal buildup of rockets in Lebanon. It was not about the money and weapons Iran provides to terrorists. It was not about how we defeat ISIS. It was not about how we hold Bashar al-Assad accountable for the slaughter of hundreds and thousands of civilians. No, instead the meeting focused on criticizing Israel, the one true democracy in the Middle East. I am new around here, but I understand that's how the Council has operated month after month for decades. I'm here to say the United States will not turn a blind eye to this anymore. I'm here to underscore the ironclad support of the United States for Israel. I'm here to emphasize the United States is determined to stand up to the UN's anti-Israel bias. We will never repeat the terrible mistake of Resolution 2334 and allow one-sided Security Council resolutions to condemn Israel.
That's so exciting. We're standing up and Australia's standing up, and it makes me think about when the Prime Minister of Australia said we will stand up against the BDS movement, the boycott, divestment, and sanctions. Well, what is that? That is something trying to delegitimize Israel, to delegitimize them. And it's been evil. It's been promoted by a lot of people that are gone now that were previously in leadership across the world. And as we've shown on our program, Israel's done so many good things for so many people in so many fields. They're blessing truly the nations, just like God said, you'll be a blessing to the nations. And we showed that on our program. You could see it on a previous program. But let's take a look. What is the boycott, divestment, sanction movement that's been trying to come against, people have been promoting against Israel? Prager University explains it. Let's take a look.
Those who hate the free and democratic state of Israel have dreamed up yet another way to try to destroy it. It has an innocuous name, but not an innocuous purpose. It's called the BDS movement. The initials stand for boycott, divest, and sanction. Created by Palestinian academics, it calls on individuals, on companies, on colleges, churches, cities, and even countries to starve Israel economically and isolate it socially. The ostensible reason for this is Israel's alleged mistreatment of Palestinians living in the areas of the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. Now, I support the idea of the creation of a Palestinian state. Actually, so do most Israelis. And I'm not particularly supportive of the West Bank settlement policy of the Israeli government. But I condemn the BDS movement in the strongest possible terms. Anyone who has any interest in creating a climate for peace in the Middle East should also condemn the BDS movement, as should anyone who simply understands the immorality of singling out Israel of all the world's countries for economic strangulation. Here's why. First, the BDS movement ignores historical reality. You don't have to delve too deeply into late 20th century history to learn that Israel gained control over the West Bank only after it had been attacked by Jordan in the 1967 Six-Day War. No attack by Jordan, no Israel in the West Bank. It's as simple as that. Furthermore, Israel, on at least two separate occasions, most recently in both 2000 and 2008, has tried to give almost all of the land it acquired in 1967 in the West Bank back to the Palestinians. It's the Palestinians who've rejected each of these offers. In other words, there's no need for the BDS movement, since Israel wants to give the Palestinians their own country. Israel only asks to be able to live in peace in return. Second, the BDS movement ignores current reality. Israel is one of the freest countries in the world, and by far the freest in the Middle East, an area where there's precious little freedom. In a world full of human rights violators of the most blatant kind, why would you want to boycott a country that has a boisterous free press, is a model of women's and gay rights, and whose Arab citizens, 1/5 of the country, are the freest in the Arab world? Let me repeat, the Arab citizens of Israel, who make up 1/5 of Israel's population, are freer than all Arabs living in Arab countries around the world. Now, the common sense principle of human rights is deal with the worst first. By this principle, there should be BDS movements against North Korea, against Syria, against Sudan, or a dozen other countries. Israel wouldn't even make the list. Of course, Israel has flaws, but like all vibrant democracies with regular elections and functioning courts of law, it makes a constant effort to correct them. Let's not forget that Israel did not build a security fence on the border of the West Bank or establish checkpoints because it wanted to keep hard-working Palestinians out of Israel. It did these things because it wanted to keep terrorists out of Israel after enduring years of horrific suicide bombings following the peace talks that the Palestinians rejected in 2000. Third, the BDS movement makes peace much less likely. Why? Because the Palestinians, if they believe that the BDS movement can strangle Israel economically and make it an international pariah, why should they ever negotiate? Why not just wait until Israel has no choice but to capitulate? But the BDS movement doesn't just hurt Israel, it hurts everyone. Israeli scientists and engineers are leading innovators in the fields of medical technology, in the fields of renewable energy, water conservation. The BDS movement wants to keep these scientists, as well as Israeli historians and other academics, from sharing their innovations and their knowledge and their insights with the world, with you. But the BDS activists don't care about helping the world. They care about hurting Israel. This leads to one final issue that has to be confronted: the motives of the people behind the BDS movement. Here, those tempted to support this movement must be very careful. The leaders of the BDS movement have no interest in a two-state solution. They reject the concept of Israel as the nation-state of the Jewish people. The BDS movement deliberately fools people. It claims to be opposed only to Israel's settlement policy, when in fact it's opposed to Israel's very existence. You may have sympathy for the Palestinians and wish to help them. I share that sympathy. But by aligning yourself with the BDS movement, you are aligning yourself with people who don't want to see both sides thrive. They want to see one side, Israel, destroyed. They don't merely want to see a change in policy. They want to see an end to the nation state of the Jewish people. Do you want to spend your time and moral energy supporting such a cause? For decent people, the answer is no. I'm Alan Dershowitz, professor of law at Harvard University for Prager University.
This is so important. When you heard the Prime Minister of Australia, Turnbull, stand up and says, we will come against and we are against this BDS movement, the boycott, divestment, and sanctions. That's what he's saying. That is what he's against. And it's exciting to see nations stand up for Israel and this crazy things that have been coming up. And you're looking at a dark movement that's against Israel, which is the apple of God's eye. They're not going to win. You're an enemy of Israel. You're an enemy of God. And you're seeing God stand up for his people. We're seeing nations get in alignment. We're seeing our own president, as we showed you on our program, walking with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as he's come to America. This is exciting days. It really is. Thank you for watching VFN TV. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Also, if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. A lot of people want to abide with the Lord. but they just don't have a plan to do it. You can request that plan today at iabide.org. Don't forget you can join us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download our app and sign up for our newsletter, The Torch, at vfntv.com.